Run! The word tore from Nakia's throat as blood spattered across her hospital scrubs. Bodies fell around her, and somewhere a newborn wailed, a sound that would haunt her dreams for 7 years. The memory shattered as Nakia's heart stopped mid-beat. There he was, Taeho Kim, standing on the subway platform, his scarred face freezing in recognition as his eyes locked not on her, but on the small hand clasped in hers. "Mama," Amara whispered, unconsciously tugging her sleeve down over the crescent birthmark. Why is that man crying? Tears streamed silently down Taeho's face as he mouthed 2 words that turned Nakia's world to ash. "My daughter." 7 years of running, 7 years of nightmares, 7 years of raising another woman's child as her own, all undone in a single moment of recognition. The subway doors began to close. Nakia yanked Amara back as Taeho lunged forward, his fingertips grazing the glass, eyes wild with a father's desperate grief transforming into something far more dangerous: hope. If you are listening right now, please subscribe to Heart of Seoul and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Now, let's continue. "Nobody, baby," Nakia lied, her pulse thundering as the subway lurched forward. Through the window, Taeho's expression hardened with certainty as he pulled out his phone. He wouldn't lose them again. Nakia clutched Amara closer, feeling the watch on her wrist, the one Somi had pressed into her hands that blood-soaked night, suddenly heavy as iron. The secret it contained cost lives. The child it protected would cost more. The subway tunnels swallowed them into darkness, but Nakia knew with sickening clarity that distance no longer mattered. After 7 years of shadows and false names, of nightmares and looking over her shoulder, time had finally run out. Taeho Kim had found them, and he would never stop hunting what he believed was his. But who is Taeho Kim really, and what happened on that night 7 years ago that made a desperate woman take a mafia boss's daughter? Nakia's hands trembled as she unlocked the door to their small apartment. The emergency bag, always packed, always ready, sat in the hall closet. 7 years of planning for this exact moment, yet now that it had arrived, her mind raced with indecision. "Go pack your special things, baby, just like we practiced," she told Amara, forcing her voice to stay calm. As Amara disappeared into her room, Nakia sank against the wall. When she'd fled Seoul with a newborn wrapped against her chest, she'd been Dr. Nakia Winters, trauma surgeon at Seoul International Hospital. Now she was just Nakia Johnson, night shift nurse at Brooklyn General, a woman whose entire existence revolved around keeping one promise: Amara would never know fear. She glanced at the single photo on their bookshelf. Amara blowing out candles on her 6th birthday cake, her smile radiant. Beside her stood Zora, Nakia's closest friend and the only person who knew fragments of their truth. The phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. "Girl, you won't believe who came into the salon today," Zora said before Nakia could speak. "Some Korean businessman asking questions, showing a photo of you and Amara from the school picnic. How would he even—" "He found us," Nakia's voice cracked. "At the subway station." The line went silent. "It's time, isn't it?" Zora finally asked. "I don't know if I can run again," Nakia whispered, watching Amara through the doorway, carefully folding her favorite books into her backpack. "She has friends now, a school she loves." "What about what he said, that night?" Nakia closed her eyes, the memory rushing back with vicious clarity. Taeho's wife dying in her arms on the operating table, her final desperate plea as she pressed her newborn daughter toward Nakia. "He can't raise her in that world. Promise me." Then Taeho arriving too late, his anguished scream echoing through the hospital as he learned his wife was gone. The chaos that followed when rival gang members stormed the maternity ward. Nakia had acted on instinct, hiding the baby, fleeing when bullets started flying. She'd only meant to protect the child until things calmed down. But then came the news reports: hospital massacre, gang war, Taeho Kim's infant daughter presumed dead in the crossfire. By then, Nakia had already fallen in love with the tiny girl with eyes like her mother's. "He's not the monster the papers painted him as," Zora said gently. "No, he's more dangerous than that." Nakia touched the watch covering her wrist, the burn mark beneath a constant reminder. "He's a father who thinks I stole his child." Amara appeared in the doorway, clutching her small suitcase and the stuffed penguin Nakia had bought her on their first night in America. "Are we going on another adventure, Mama?" Her eyes, so like Taeho's, wide with innocent excitement. But before Nakia could answer, a sleek black car pulled up outside their apartment building. "Get your coat." Nakia yanked the emergency bag from the closet. 7 years of running scenarios through her mind, yet she'd never imagined he would find them so quickly. Her fingers flew across her phone, texting Zora, "He's here. Back door. 5 minutes." A sharp knock echoed through the apartment. "Dr. Winters?" Taeho's voice carried through the door with chilling clarity. "I only want to talk." Amara's eyes widened. "Mama, who knows your doctor name?" Nakia froze. She'd abandoned that name the day they left Seoul. The fact that he'd used it meant he knew everything. Her real identity, her history, perhaps even why she'd taken his child.
Another knock, softer this time. "Please, I've been searching for 7 years." Nakia crouched before Amara, hands trembling as she zipped the child's coat. "Remember what I taught you about the fire escape? Go to Miss Zora's salon. I'll be right behind you." "You're scared," Amara whispered, touching Nakia's cheek with small fingers. "Is the man from the subway bad?" The door handle turned. Unlocked, Nakia realized with horror. In her panic, she'd forgotten to secure the deadbolt. The door swung open, and Taeho Kim stood silhouetted against the hallway light. He'd removed his suit jacket, and Nakia could see the outline of a shoulder holster beneath his crisp white shirt. His eyes fixed not on her, but on Amara. "Minji," he breathed, using a name Amara had never heard. Something unexpected flickered across his face. Not rage, but naked vulnerability that stripped away the hardened exterior of Seoul's most feared man. He dropped to one knee, keeping his distance, and spoke in Korean, soft words Nakia hadn't heard in years but remembered from her medical residency in Seoul. "You look just like your mother," he said. Amara shrank against Nakia's side, confused by the strange language and the intensity of this stranger's gaze. "She doesn't understand Korean," Nakia said, her voice steadier than she felt, "and her name is Amara." Taeho's eyes snapped to Nakia's, hardening. "You took my daughter, let her believe her father was dead." "I protected her from your world," Nakia countered, edging toward the window. "Your wife's dying wish." Something dangerous flashed in his expression. "Somi never would have—" "I made her promise," Nakia interrupted, her exact words. Before Taeho could respond, the apartment door burst open again. A tall man in a black suit entered, hand reaching inside his jacket. "Sir, the perimeter's secure, but local police scanner shows—" The man stopped abruptly, eyes widening as they landed on Amara. Taeho barked an order in Korean, causing the man to retreat instantly. "You have 30 seconds to pack essentials, then you're both coming with me. Brooklyn isn't safe anymore." "For who?" Nakia challenged. Taeho's expression darkened. "Rival family. They know I'm here." He hesitated, then added quietly, "They know about her." The safe house overlooked the Hudson River, its floor-to-ceiling windows bulletproof and its perimeter guarded by men who moved like shadows. Nakia stood at the glass, watching Amara sleep on a sofa larger than their entire living room. The girl had fallen silent during the tense car ride, her curious eyes darting between Nakia and the stranger, who couldn't stop staring at her. "She has Somi's smile," Taeho said, approaching with 2 steaming cups. He offered one to Nakia, ginger tea with honey, exactly how she'd prepared it during long hospital shifts in Seoul. The realization that he remembered such a detail unsettled her.
"How much does she know?" he asked. "Nothing," Nakia admitted. "I told her we had to leave Korea because of a fire, that her birth parents died heroes." Pain flashed across Taeho's face. "And what about the mark on her wrist? Somi had the same birthmark. It's why I named our daughter Minji, bright star." "Amara means grace in Swahili," Nakia countered softly. "It felt right after everything." For a moment, silence stretched between them, filled with 7 years of parallel grief. His for the daughter he thought dead, hers for the day Amara would learn the truth. "I wasn't always," Taeho began, then stopped, choosing his words carefully. "When I met Somi, I was trying to leave that life. She made me believe I could." "Then why were there gunmen in a maternity ward?" Nakia challenged. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. Taeho's expression darkened as he read the message. "The men who came to your apartment weren't mine," he said, voice tight. "The Jung family has been searching for any weakness they could exploit against me. Now they know about her." "You're saying we're in danger because of you," Nakia stated, flatly, fear clawing at her throat. "I'm saying," Taeho replied, "that regardless of how we feel about each other, we both want to protect her." His gaze drifted to Amara, softening in a way that made Nakia's certainties waver. She'd spent years painting him as a monster in her mind. It was easier that way, justified what she'd done. But the man before her was showing cracks in that image, revealing glimpses of someone who had lost everything in a single night. Amara stirred, her small hand unconsciously rubbing the birthmark on her wrist. "She has nightmares about fire," Nakia confessed quietly. "She's never been in one." Taeho's eyes met hers. "Genetic memory. The Jung family burned my father's home when I was a child." He hesitated. "The night you took her, there was more happening than you knew." Before he could elaborate, one of his men appeared at the doorway. "Sir, we've found something in the surveillance footage from Dr. Winter's building." The screen showed a familiar face that made Nakia's blood freeze. Zora, letting a man into her apartment building just hours before Taeho arrived. "That's my friend," Nakia whispered. "She wouldn't—" Taeho's expression hardened. "The man with her is Jung Min-sok, my father's killer." "You're wrong," Nakia insisted, though doubt crept into her voice. "Zora helped us hide. She wouldn't betray us." "People rarely betray for money. They betray for love, for family, or because they have no choice." He turned to his security team. "Find her. Bring her here. Unharmed." Nakia paced the room, mind racing. None of this makes sense. Why would the Jungs care about Amara? Taeho's silence felt heavy, loaded with unspoken truths. "Tell me," Nakia demanded. "Because of what her mother knew," he finally answered, voice dropping to ensure Amara wouldn't wake. "Somi wasn't just my wife. Before we met, she was an accountant for several high-level officials, including Jung Min-sok's political allies." Nakia's breath caught. "The hospital attack?" "Wasn't aimed at me," Taeho confirmed. "It was aimed at Somi, at what she carried." "The baby?" "Information." He pulled out his phone, showing Nakia an image that made her stomach drop. A microchip, smaller than a fingernail, embedded in the watch Somi always wore, the watch that disappeared the night of the attack. Realization washed over Nakia like ice water. The watch she gave me before she died? The one I've worn every day since. Her fingers trembled as she unfastened it, revealing the burn mark beneath. Not a scar from the fire as she'd told everyone, but the deliberate mark Somi had pressed into her skin with her dying strength, ensuring Nakia would never remove the timepiece. Taeho carefully took the watch, his fingers brushing hers. For a moment, their eyes met. Two people who had loved and protected the same child, connected by an invisible thread neither had recognized. He pried open the back panel, revealing a tiny chip nestled inside.
evidence of corruption reaching the highest levels of Korean government, he explained quietly. Somi was going to testify. This was her insurance policy. So all this time? Nakia's voice faltered. You weren't running from me, Taeho said softly. You were running with the only evidence that could bring down the Jung family, the evidence they've killed dozens trying to recover. Before Nakia could process this revelation, Amara stirred on the couch. Mama? She called sleepily. Both adults turned toward her voice, and in that shared moment of instinctive response, something shifted between them, recognition of their tangled fate, of how completely their lives had been shaped around this one small person. Then Taeho's phone buzzed with an incoming photo, Zora, bound to a chair, terror in her eyes. Below it, a text, "Trade the woman and the data for your friend's life, 1 hour." He knew exactly where to find you, Taeho said grimly, because she led him straight to you. My Heart of Soul family, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you haven't joined our community yet, now is the perfect moment to subscribe and make sure you don't miss what happens next in this heart-stopping journey. Let me go alone, Nakia insisted, pacing the safe house kitchen while Taeho's men prepared for the exchange. Taeho's expression remained impassive. They'll kill you both the moment they have to chip.
Then what's your plan? Nakia challenged, voice cracking. Because I won't sacrifice Zora, and I won't let them near Amara. The weight of their impossible situation hung between them. Outside, rain lashed against bulletproof windows, mirroring the storm raging within Nakia's heart. Everything she'd built was crumbling. Her friendship with Zora, the protective bubble around Amara, the certainty that she'd done the right thing 7 years ago. I have to tell her, Nakia whispered, glancing toward the bedroom where Amara slept. Before someone else does. Taeho's eyes flashed with alarm. She's 7. She's strong, Nakia countered, like her mother. Something vulnerable crossed Taeho's face. Like both her mothers. The unexpected acknowledgement stole Nakia's breath. For 7 years, she'd prepared for his hatred, his accusations, not this quiet recognition of her place in Amara's life. Their moment was shattered by a security alert. On the monitors, they watched men in black tactical gear approaching the building from multiple angles. They found us, Taeho stated flatly, checking his weapon. We need to move. Now. Nakia rushed to wake Amara, finding the girl already sitting up, clutching her stuffed penguin with tear-streaked cheeks. I dreamed about the fire again, but this time I could see people in it. A woman was calling me by a different name. Nakia's heart splintered. Baby! A deafening explosion rocked the building. The lights flickered, plunging them momentarily into darkness before emergency generators hummed to life. Time's up, Taeho announced from the doorway, his composed exterior betraying only a hint of the tension beneath. We need to split up. No! Nakia and Amara cried in unison. It's our only chance, Taeho insisted. They expect us together. The truth hit Nakia like physical pain. He was right. But the thought of being separated from Amara, of entrusting her to the man she'd fled from for 7 years, felt like having her heart torn from her chest. I don't want to go with him, Amara pleaded, clinging to Nakia's arm. I want to stay with you, Mama. Taeho knelt before his daughter, maintaining careful distance. I promise to protect you with my life, he said softly, as your mother has done all these years. The word mother hung in the air, an acknowledgement that sent tears streaming down Nakia's face. Who are you? Taeho demanded. Before either adult could respond, gunfire erupted in the hallway outside. Taeho's men shouted warnings in Korean. There's no time, Taeho said urgently. Nakia, you take the chip and draw them away. I'll get Amara to safety. The ultimate sacrifice, her life for her daughters. Wasn't that what motherhood had always been? Promise me, Nakia whispered, pressing the watch into Taeho's hand instead of keeping it herself, a decision that surprised even her.
And about you, Taeho added quietly, about how you saved her life, twice. As bullets splintered the door, Nakia made the hardest choice of her life. She kissed Amara's forehead one last time, then pushed her toward Taeho. "Run!" Nakia ran until her lungs burned, leading Jungs' men away from Amara through Brooklyn's rain-soaked streets. Without the watch, she felt naked, exposed, her connection to both Somi and Amara physically severed. 3 of Jungs' men followed, believing she still carried what they sought. When she finally ducked into an abandoned subway station, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "She's safe, hidden. The men with you are Jungs' lower ranks, expendable." Taeho. Somehow he'd gotten her number. "How is she?" Nakia typed back, hands shaking. "Brave, like you." The simple words cracked something open inside her. For 7 years, she'd cast him as the villain in her story, the dangerous man she'd taken a child from, but with each passing hour, that narrative unraveled. A second text appeared. "Check your coat pocket." Nakia reached in, finding a small flash drive she'd never seen before. Another message followed. "Somi hid backups. This one contains locations of all Jungs operations, the bargaining chip we need." Hope flickered, fragile but real. If Jung wanted the original data so desperately, this could be their leverage. Her phone rang, Zora's number. Nakia hesitated, then answered. "They'll kill me," Zora sobbed. "Jung has my sister in Seoul. I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice," Nakia said, but her anger had hollowed into understanding. How many choices had she made to protect Amara? How many lines had she crossed? "Jung says if you don't come to the warehouse on Kent Avenue, alone, he'll—" The call cut off abruptly. Nakia weighed her options. Going alone meant death, but she couldn't abandon Zora. As she deliberated, another text arrived from Taeho. "Don't trust the call. It's a trap." "How do you know?" she responded. "Because Zora is with us." The revelation hit like lightning. Attached was a photo of Zora, tearfully hugging Amara inside what looked like a high-end hotel room. "Jung doesn't have her," Taeho explained. "My people intercepted her being moved. The woman in the photo they sent was someone else with similar features." Relief coursed through Nakia, followed quickly by determination. "Where should I meet you?" "Nowhere yet. Jung has people everywhere, but I've contacted allies in Korea's intelligence agency. The evidence on that drive is their missing link." For the first time in 7 years, Nakia allowed herself to truly believe that safety might be possible, not just temporary hiding, but an end to running. Her phone buzzed one final time, not a text, but a video call. When she answered, Amara's face filled the screen.
"Mama," she whispered, eyes wide but no longer frightened. "Mr. Kim says you're my second mom, that my first mom was his wife, and she asked you to keep me safe." Behind her, Taeho appeared in frame, his hand resting gently on Amara's shoulder. "I told her everything," he said softly. "She deserved the truth." Nakia's throat tightened. "Are you angry with me, baby?" Amara considered this with surprising gravity. "No, but I want both of you now." In that moment, something shifted, the beginning of a new truth, a family forged not by blood or circumstance, but by choice. "Then come find me," Nakia said, newfound courage stealing her voice. "It's time we stopped running." The warehouse on Kent Avenue loomed against Brooklyn's night sky, its windows glowing eerily in the moonlight. Nakia approached alone, the flash drive secure in her pocket, a digital key that could lock Jung Min-suk away forever. Inside, Jung waited with 4 armed men, his silver-streaked hair immaculate despite the tension crackling through the air. His smile chilled Nakia to the bone. "Dr. Winters, or do you prefer Johnson now? 7 years is a long time to chase a ghost." "Where's Zora?" Nakia demanded, playing along with the pretense. Jung gestured dismissively. "Safe for now.
the drive first. "You killed Somi," Nakia stated. "Not a question, but an accusation. You ordered the hospital attack." "Collateral damage," Jung replied coldly. "Business requires sacrifice." As they spoke, Nakia scanned the warehouse, noting positions, exits, details Taeho had coached her on during their brief call. Their plan was dangerous, balanced on a knife's edge of timing and trust. "Then Child was never supposed to survive," Jung continued. "An unfortunate loose end." Rage flared in Nakia's chest, but she contained it. "Here's your drive," she said, sliding it across a dusty table. "Now release Zora." Jung pocketed the drive without checking it, his first mistake. "Bring her," he ordered one of his men. The moment stretched, tension building, until Jung's smile faltered. "Where is she?" On cue, the warehouse lights cut, plunging them into darkness. Gunfire erupted from multiple directions, precise shots that found Jung's men but never came close to Nakia. She dropped to the floor, crawling toward the exit Taeho had specified. "You think I came alone?" Jung's voice echoed. A phone light illuminated his face, twisted with fury as he pressed a gun against Nakia's temple. "I should have killed you in Seoul." "You should have," a voice agreed from the shadows. Taeho stepped into the faint moonlight streaming through a broken window, his gun aimed at Jung's head. But that would have been too merciful. Jung laughed, using Nakia as a shield. "Always the honorable one, Taeho. Somi made you weak."
"She made me strong enough to wait for this moment," Taeho replied. His eyes met Nakia's, a silent communication passing between them. Trust built in mere days, but rooted in 7 years of protecting the same precious life. Nakia's hand inched toward her ankle, where Taeho had strapped a small canister. With a doctor's precision, she pulled it free and pressed the release. Smoke erupted around them. In the confusion, she twisted from Jung's grip with a move Taeho had taught her hours earlier, striking the nerve point in his wrist that sent his gun clattering to the floor. Taeho surged forward, tackling Jung as Korean intelligence agents flooded the warehouse, their raid perfectly timed to the coordinated plan. "It's over," Taeho said, standing over the handcuffed Jung. "The real drive is already with prosecutors in Seoul. Your political protectors are being arrested as we speak." Jung's face contorted with hatred. "Families like ours don't end wars. We pause them." "My family ended tonight," Taeho replied, turning to Nakia as agents led Jung away. "I'm choosing a different path." Outside, blue lights flashed against wet pavement. Nakia leaned against Taeho, exhaustion and relief flooding her system in equal measure. "Where's Amara?" she asked. Taeho nodded toward a black SUV where a small face pressed against the window, watching with wide eyes as her parents, both of them, walked toward her together. 3 months later, cherry blossoms dusted the walkway of Nakia's new brownstone in Brooklyn Heights. Amara skipped ahead, practicing Korean phrases with Zora, whose testimony against Jung had earned her immunity and a fresh start. "Still feels like a dream," Zora admitted, watching Amara dance beneath falling petals. "That we're all safe." With Jung awaiting trial in Seoul and his network dismantled by Korean intelligence, the shadows that had haunted them for 7 years had finally lifted. The truth about Somi's evidence had rocked South Korea's political landscape, exposing corruption at levels even Taeho hadn't anticipated. "Not a dream," Nakia said, smiling as a familiar black car pulled up. "Just a different story than I expected." Taeho emerged, carrying a stack of documents and a small wrapped package. Since that night at the warehouse, he'd divided his time between Seoul and New York, dismantling his father's criminal empire and building something new, a security firm that specialized in protecting witnesses against organized crime. "The papers are finalized," he announced, joining them on the steps. "Joint custody, legal name change to Amara Minji Kim Winters." The hyphenated surname represented everything their unusual family had become, not traditional, not perfect, but intentional, chosen.
And this, he said, offering the package to Nakia, belonged to Somi. Inside was a delicate jade pendant in the shape of a crescent moon matching the birthmark on Amara's wrist.
She would have wanted you to have it, Taeho said softly, for protecting what mattered most to both of us. Their fingers brushed as Nakia accepted the gift. The tentative romance blooming between them was complicated, layered with shared trauma and healing, but also with profound respect and understanding that no one else could match. "We're having dinner at the new Korean restaurant on Atlantic," Nakia told Zora. "Will you join us?" Zora smiled knowingly. "I think this is family time. Besides, I have a date." After she left, Amara bounded back to them, her face alight with the carefree joy of a child who finally knew her whole truth and was loved completely within it. "Can we visit Seoul soon?" she asked, slipping her hands into both Taeho's and Nakia's. "I want to see where my first mom is buried and eat real tteokbokki, not the kind Mama tries to make." "Hey!" Nakia laughed, the sound free and unburdened. Taeho smiled, a full smile that transformed his once guarded face. "Next month, I promise." As they walked toward the restaurant, Nakia felt the weight of Somi's pendant against her collarbone, not a burden, but a blessing, a reminder that families could be forged in fire, shaped by love, and healed through truth. "I never thought I'd thank you," Taeho said quietly as Amara ran ahead again, "for taking her that night. And I never thought I'd forgive you for finding us," Nakia admitted. "But here we are." Taeho's hand found hers, their fingers intertwining with the ease of people who had protected the same heart from different sides of the world. "Here we are," he agreed. The future stretched before them, not without challenges, but filled with possibilities neither had dared imagine. Two people from different worlds, connected by a child with a crescent moon on her wrist, and love enough to heal them both. Thank you for watching this story. Tell me in the comments how their journey of forgiveness and newfound family touched your soul. And if you haven't already, join our Heart of Soul community by subscribing for more stories that bridge cultures and heal hearts.